during the pandemic, we all know nurses have fearlessly stood on the front lines of the fight. I mean, if I could say a personal thank you to each and every one of them,
no doubt,
I would. American author James Patterson and Matt Eversmann are celebrating the bravery of these men and women in a new book titled ER Nurses, True Stories from America's Greatest Unsung Heroes. So joining Morning Rush this morning is the best-selling author himself, Mr. James Patterson. Thank you. We are so excited to have you on our show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited to be here because I'm so passionate about this book. I think it's the most important book I've ever written.
It's not your usual subject matter. Why'd you want to write this?
Well, I actually, Matt and I wrote a book, Walk in My Combat Boots, which was similar in that I think it's rare, at least rare for me, that I read a book or watch a movie or where I actually learn something big. Like I didn't understand the military before we did Combat Boots, and I didn't really understand that. I don't think most people understand how intense and what heroes nurses really are. We talk the thing. I mean, you just talked it, but do you really understand it? And one of the things that's happening with this thing, we've been on half a dozen podcasts with nurses, and they just go, "You nailed it. You have told our story," and that's. So, it's just great for us to hear.
Definitely. So are you then hoping, that this book then educates others and shines that light and maybe pulls back the curtain a bit into what nurses go through? Kind of like you were saying, how you didn't really know much about the military before you wrote that book.
Yeah, well, or you have, and our mission was, once again, if you are a nurse, you'd say Eversmann and Patterson got it right. And you understand whether you never did before. One of the nurses we did the podcast, she was a moderator, and she'd given the book to her mother over the weekend. And the mother came over to her house and she was weeping. And she said, "I never understood what you do until I read that book. And now I get it." Another one of the moderators said that it made him feel, once again, why he loves his job as a nurse. It's astonishing. I'm not patting myself on the back because these are the nurses' stories. There's 57 stories in here. They range from 4 pages to 8 pages. And, Matt, my partner, he says it's like buying or getting, 57 books. And it just goes you'll read them one after the other. You will gobble them up, I think. And if at the end of this, all your listeners and viewers don't want to read the book, then I'm messing up. I didn't do my job here tonight.
Well, as the son of a former ER nurse, I have the utmost appreciation.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
For ER nurses. But I'm curious, you talk about...
Would she talk about it when she came home? Would she talk about what she went through?
Yeah, that's great. 57 different stories, though. Is there one theme that you would say you did learn about nurses that you didn't know prior?
It's just how intense it is. Matt was my partner. He was actually, the movie Black Hawk Down. He was the actual sergeant portrayed in that. So he's been in some heavy duty combat. And he, a couple of times during this, he did most of the interviews, and I would do all the, let's turn it into a book. But he said a couple of times, he said, I can't talk to anybody, any more nurses tomorrow. It's just too intense. So the intensity of it. And some of the stories are very uplifting. I mean, it doesn't start this way, but a 2-year-old came in and had been accidentally shot in the chest, and they went, "This kid is not going to live." 10 days later, the nurse sees this kid running down the hallway somewhere else in the hospital wearing a Superman outfit, and you go like, "All right, this is wonderful stuff." There was another nurse. The husband was dying, and she had spent a lot of time with the husband and her wife. He said to the wife, "What could I possibly do to just make this easier?" And she said, "Oh, he loves his dog so much." So she snuck the Labrador into the hospital so that the guy could be, it's just over and over and over again. And it's incredible what these people do. Just unbelievable.
And I think this is going to serve such a good purpose to people that may not understand, because we use the blanket term ER nurses, but I think sometimes we forget that they're individual people that have to come home to families, come home to wives and husbands and kids. And I mean,
playing the role of surgeons
yes.
and doctors, and that's what surprised me as I've learned about nurses.
And you kind of forget about that like these are actual humans. But Dave mentioned earlier that this isn't like your typical book that you write. So I have to know, what is
I don't have a typical book, I don't think. I mean, I do a lot of kids' books. Which people don't necessarily know, and they're very humorous. So I'm not. I did a one on John Lennon recently, and that was very different. I'm doing one on on Diana now, and that's very different. So I'm kind of. I mean, I like to keep stretching, honestly.
I hear you. That's
so
what
I don't think I have a. I guess when you say typical, you mean probably more the Mysteries, Alex Cross, and Women's Murder.
That's what that's up my alley. Yeah. But what would you say is your favorite book that you've written? I know you said that this one, the ER Nurses,
there's several. I'm happy to have created Alex Cross and the Women's Murder Club. Black Book, I think, is particular, and several of the kids' books. I did a book on becoming Muhammad Ali when he was a kid in Louisville with Kwame Alexander. I think that really turned out great. And as I said, this ER Nurses, and also the Walk in My Combat Boots. Every time you start and you want to do something great, you never know that it's going to work out. Right. You do a movie or a podcast or a book. And this thing, in taking these interviews and then turning them into these 4, 5, 6-page nuggets, it just worked out better than Matt and I could have ever imagined that it would work out. And primarily because the stories are so great. There's one, this flight nurse, and she's out in Oklahoma, a black woman, and the pilot was a black man. And they had to go out into the hill country and the flat country, whatever the hell the country is in Oklahoma. And there was a terrible situation. And they go toward this farm, and there are all these swastikas and white supremacy signs on the barns. And they're like, oh man, they get down and they rescue the person. It doesn't matter, man. They're going to do their job.
Final question for you, James. I know you saw Bill Shatner at 90 years young blasting space yesterday.
You know what, though? He went up there with those people. He should have brought an emergency room nurse up there.
So do you want to go into space? If not, what's on the James Patterson
bucket
list?
I live in space, man. I'm there. Well, I mean, the next really, we have an Alex Cross for Christmas, the holiday time. And then in March, I have a novel with Dolly Parton.
Wow.
So that's on the bucket list.
Well, no, it's done. I mean, we finished it.
He said, checked it out.
We both have. I think Dolly and I have both taken care of all our buckets. But it's a fascinating, and we'll get into it in March. But it's a novel about a country western singer, and there are songs in the book. And Dolly went out and recorded all 12 songs. So there's a novel and accompanying album. So that's a really cool thing. And she's wonderful. She's great to be with. She sang happy birthday to me over the telephone for my birthday. Hey, how do you beat that?
Well, hey, I may be calling you up in February to get a birthday song from me. All right, James Patterson, thank you so much.
You're welcome. ER Nurses, man.
There we go.
If I didn't convince you, I don't know, figure out a way to convince yourself.
And we'll see you back here in March when that next one comes out.
Okay, I'd love to be there, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
I'll bring Dolly with me.
Yeah, deal.